In today's video, we're going to be relating hundredths and decimals. So in the previous videos, we've talked about the tenths place and finding tenths. So today we're going to be moving one decimal place over to the right, and we're going to be looking at the hundredths place. Okay, so here we go on our place value chart. I have my ones place, my decimal point, tenths, and then hundredths. Hundredths are 1/10 of the tenths. They're 1/10 smaller. So if we took our tenths and we broke them each and divided them into 10 more pieces, we would have hundredths. So again, here we have our tenths. Here's our whole divided into 10 pieces. And when we take each of those tenths and break them into 10 more, now we have 100 pieces in our whole. And each of these squares is 1/100th. 100th. So let's take a look at our problem for today. All right. In the 2008 Summer Olympic Games, the winning time in the men's 100-meter butterfly race was only 1/100th second faster than the second place time. What decimal represents this fraction of a second? Okay, so again, it's asking me for what decimal represents this fraction. So here we have the fraction 1/100th, and we want to be writing that as a decimal. All right, so we can write hundredths as fractions or as decimals. And here's one way, is we're going to use a model, okay? So here, again, I have my 100 model. There are 100 squares here. If I were to color 1/100th would be one of the 100 squares. How I would write this as a decimal is I have no ones. I have a whole tenth would be this whole piece here. I don't have any tenths, but I have 1/100th, 100th. So I would write it as 0 and 1/100th. Let's show that on the place value chart. The place value chart, the same thing. I'm going to write 1/100th. That means I have a 1 in my hundredths place. I don't have any tenths. I don't have any ones. So how I write this number is 0 and 1/100th. A 1 in the hundredths place. So let's write that down on our page. I have 1/100th. I have 0 and 1/100th right there. Another way to write it is to use a number line. Now again, this number line starts at 0, and they wrote 0 and 0/10ths and 0/100ths. And it goes to 1. 1 and 0/10ths and 0/100ths. Same thing of it, it almost looks like $1. And a lot of times when we talk about hundredths, thinking about dollars and cents can really help us understand what these numbers represent. Right? So when we count, there are 100 little pieces that go from 0 to 1. They broke it into 100 little pieces. 1/100th is only right here. Okay, so if I only went 1/100th of the way, or 1/100th of a second, if this was an entire second that had to go by, this is how big a hundredth is. It's very small. And we would write it like this. Okay, 1/10th, 1/100th, they're counting by tenths. 10 hundredths, 20 hundredths, 30 hundredths, 40 hundredths, 50 hundredths, etc. So we can keep writing it like this. 40 hundredths, 50 hundredths, 60 hundredths, 70 hundredths, 80 hundredths, 90 hundredths, 1 whole. But the amount that we're talking about here for how many seconds faster the first place was from second place is only this tiny amount, 1/100th. 1/100th names the same amount as 100th. So the winning time was only 1/100th of a second faster. So if a whole second took from here to here to go by, it was that close. What a close race. All right, in our next video, we're going to take a look at how to do a mixed number with the hundredths place.